And now it is my pleasure to give the floor to Mr. Ziauddin Yousafzai. As Minister Brande has already said, you are the UN Special Advisor on Global Education, and you're the co-founder with your daughter, the Nobel Peace Laureate of the Malala Fund. We are eager to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. It's a big honor and a real privilege to be here at this very, very important conference regarding safe schools. And as you know, I'm neither a professor nor a war analyst. I'm here because I'm one of the millions of those people who are suffering because of wars and conflicts. And the two key elements of this conference are very relevant to my story. Number one, attack on schools. And number two, the military use of schools and other educational institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here because I remember very well how much difficult it was when Swat Valley, which was a heaven for the tourists from all over the world, and which was a paradise for its children to learn. And it's so beautiful that when you think of paradise, you think of Swat. And that beautiful valley, when the insurgency of Taliban started, that beautiful valley became a hub of terrorism, a center of fear. And that beautiful valley, which used to be teemed with the tourists from all over the world, they turned into a hell for its own people. And it is shocking as well as surprising that Taliban harmed every sector of life, of course. But their most favorite and their most vulnerable target were school and education system, especially girls' schools. And I can tell you that how, in the very beginning, when Talibanization started, Radio Mullah, how he did a heinous, poisonous propaganda against girls' education. And many students, because of his negative propaganda, voluntarily, they withdrew themselves from schools and they left schools. And as the militancy escalated, they bombed and burnt more than 400 schools. And coupled with that, they recruited our teenager boys and brainwashed them to become suicide attackers. And then, similarly, the way they were inflicting atrocities on the people of Swat, like the children in the morning while coming to school, as the Honorable Minister mentioned, that they are supposed to think about mathematical formulas. No, they were thinking about the beheaded corpses in the squares. Ladies and gentlemen, and it was not the end. Ultimately, in 2009, they announced on their FM radio that no girl, old or young, is allowed to go to school. And that was the end of the girls' school for that time. And after this, when Swat went to a complete control of Taliban, and the government rate was gone, the government decided to launch a focused and targeted military operation on the demand of the people of Swat. But again, what happened? When the army stepped in to the valley, is the Taliban, for Taliban, the most favorite places to attack and to stay in were the schools. This time, when the army stepped in, again, the most favorite, the most vulnerable, and because of the reasons of defensibility, they also stationed in more than 40 schools. Some of schools were made as bases, barracks, and we saw bunkers in schools. Some were made detention centers. And all this was happened, we were told that it is done because of expediency. Ladies and gentlemen, in those days, I was feeling that this whole Talibanization, militancy is against schools, is against education. And during the military operation, which is supposed to protect the rights of children and the rights of the people, against the schools are the victim. And I was feeling as the school and education system has been sandwiched between military and militants, between the security forces and Taliban, sandwiched. Ladies and gentlemen, is it wise to win a war and lose a generation? And also, when the security forces, the state security forces, when they occupy a school, it gives a very nice justification to the militants and to the miscreants to bomb schools. I remember very well that we had to leave the beautiful Swat Valley for some 3 months. And we left our valley for the security forces to do a military operation. And we were called IDPs, internally displaced persons. And when we went back to our valley, I remember very, very well, I went to my home and then I went to my school. The same school which was banned and which was closed by Taliban, in the same school, the girls' school, it was made as a base for the security forces during the military operation. And when I entered the school, I found everything in a disorder, everything upside down, everything messy. And in the words of Shakespeare, the most unkindest cut, the most unkindest miss which I noticed were the boot prints of the soldiers on the chairs of the children. And I was thinking that, where is the sanctity of educational institutions? But, ladies and gentlemen, this is not only the story of my country. This is not only my story. This is the story of more than or almost 70 countries where educational institutions and schools are under attack. This is the story of 26 countries where schools are being used by state forces. And this is the story of the 150 boys who were ruthlessly killed in Kenya. This is the story of the 200 girls who are still in the abduction of Boko Haram. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of the children of Pakistan in north and the story of children in Afghanistan. This is the story of children in Gaza and sub-Saharan African countries. ladies and gentlemen, I sometimes think that why all this is happening? Why have we failed to give protection to our children and to their right of education? And two short words or two short things which come into my mind, to be very short. I think that globally, our politics sends morality and our wars sends ethics. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue is alarming and it is global as well. It's very global. Thanks to the Norwegian government, thanks to Argentina, and thanks to the all core group countries who have knocked at the doors of the nations to stir our conscience. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have to have the willpower, the political willpower, to endorse the guidelines for the safety of schools. We have to have the moral courage to accept that what has been done to our children in the last 10 years, what has been done to our schools in the last 10 years, it is unacceptable, it is illegal, it is immoral, it is unconstitutional. It must be changed now. And we should have the moral courage to endorse. We should have the moral courage to provide a national endorsement to the Safe Schools Declaration. Ladies and gentlemen, when we think of states, what is a state meant for? Why states were created? It is the sole responsibility of a state to provide protection to the honor and property and life of its people. Isn't it ironic that the very state which is supposed to give protection to the right of education to its children, it violates that right by itself? It's crazy. This very idea of occupying schools and wasting the precious time of the children, it gives a big question mark to the very existence of states. It's unacceptable. And I must tell you that when, you bomb it or you occupy it, ultimately the educational activity is gone. And what happens when the children are out of their schools because of occupation, because of being bombed, and when they remain out of schools for 4 or 5 years, then they are very unwilling to come back to school. And many, many children, they drop out of the school because of this reason. Ladies and gentlemen, as global citizens of this small world, now it's a very small world, we have to provide the same sanctity to our schools and educational institutions which we have given to mosques, temples, and churches. This is very much important. If these places of worship protect and carry on the legacy of our faith, I believe that schools and educational institutions, they protect and they carry on the legacy of our cultures and civilizations. They carry on the legacy of our life. Just think of of this world without schools. Just think of this world without schools. As we are going back to the Stone Age. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I spoke for long. But to wind up my speech, we are here in Oslo. Oslo, I call it a city of peace and a city of hope. It is a center of peace, Nobel Peace Prizes as well. And it is a city of hope. And I hope that today we all unanimously together, we have to give a very strong hope to the 28 million children who are suffering and who are unable to go to their schools because of the wars and conflicts. Ladies and gentlemen, to be short, we can't think of a safe world without safe schools. Thank you very much.